much more visible, and that those Muslims will change the impression of Americans, of all Muslims everywhere. I think also another factor is that Americans are generally very parochial. We don't get outside of America very much. So our knowledge of the rest of the world is really limited to what we see on TV and what we read in the newspapers. But I think the main thing is that the Muslim community here in America, which is substantial, comes more into public view and into public service, such that Americans see that they understand Islam because they meet the Muslim next door. And the Muslim next door is on the school board, is on the city council, is perhaps even a state representative. And so is somebody whom they respect and see often as an upright citizen in the community of which they are a part. I think that's the key to the future. And it'll happen slowly, but it is already happening, thank God.
If you had someone come up to you and say, what is this movement? Talk to me about it, who knows nothing about it. How would you try to describe it to them?
Well, I would describe it, the Gulen Movement, as a social and educational movement whose priority is to provide education to those who need it and to fight the intolerance when there is needed. It's a movement that embraces everyone, regardless of nationalities, regardless of religious background. It's an umbrella for everyone, and once you are under it, you can feel the commonalities between people, and you see the common points better than the points that disunite us among us.
Fethullah Gulen has been given many names. And if you had to try to describe him, how would you describe him?
Well, since I'm a student, I will describe him as a teacher, because this is what I've been doing so far, reading about him, seeing. I have learned a lot from him, and I try to translate what he teaches us into action, and that has been the results has been there. I became more compassionate, and I try to teach to other people, my peers, for example, about the compassion, about Islam, tolerance. So, in other words, he's a great scholar, but to me, he's a teacher.
Ready? Okay.
My name is Touria Khanous. I'm originally from Morocco. I'm currently teaching Arabic and International Studies at LSU.
Fabulous. You gave a wonderful talk this afternoon. I enjoyed it very much. How did you find the conference?
The conference was excellent. I mean, I enjoyed listening to many excellent presentations. It was very enlightening. I learned so much more about the Gulen movement.
If you had a student come up to you and say, what is this Gulen movement? How would you explain it to them?
The Gulen movement is a global movement that's promoting universal values of peace, of tolerance, of intercultural and interfaith dialogue.
I am Charles Isbell. I am the Director of Jewish Studies at Louisiana State University, a professor of Hebrew and Jewish history, and a participant in today's conference.
How did you find the conference?
I was very pleased. It had a nice combination of scholarly and practical kinds of presentations, and I enjoyed everything that I heard, actually. Very good.
Since you're in the classroom, I suspect that there are many things that will come up to students they've never heard of before. If the idea of the Gulen movement came up, how would you explain that to someone who knows nothing about it?
Well, I think first you have to explain that Gulen is a Turk. And this would be a revelation to a lot of my students who assume falsely that all Muslims are Arabs. And so it would be a pleasure to introduce them to the fact that many millions of faithful and devout Muslims are not Arabs, they're Indonesians or they're Turks. There are 100 million Muslims in China, for goodness sakes. And I think that would be a very important point to make. And then to also locate him culturally in Turkey with the great history that Turkey has and the relations that Turkey has even today with modern Israel, its history with Jews, its history as a birthplace of Christianity. This would open the door to begin talking about him as someone who really should be given a wide audience. He's the one we ought to be listening to, not the extremists, not the ones that are screaming and wanting to dominate and kill everybody that disagrees with them. I would really like people to know that people of this caliber they are the true Muslims, and they're the ones that we ought to be listening and talking with.
What did you learn from the Gulen movement in southeast of Turkey?
In the southeast, we heard so many stories of that wonderful season when thousands of volunteers from other parts of Turkey went into this region and for the Feast of Sacrifice brought gifts of meat, brought gifts of food, and most importantly got to know people as brothers and sisters. As long as we stay at a distance and look down on other people, are afraid of other people, there is not hope. But Gulen teaches us to respect the other, to value the other as also made by God, to go and get to know the faces of the people. He encourages the dialogue movement. I was so impressed at the educational efforts. Dormitories were being built so that children could be near better schools. Schools have been built, and most especially girls are encouraged to go to school. I was with Gulen Movement workers who have gone from one house to another, encouraging families, send your daughters to school. They will be better mothers. You will have better families. The whole society will improve when women are educated. And truly, the culture in southeast Turkey has improved immensely as the followers of Fethullah Gülen have brought educational opportunities, broken down the misunderstandings among people, and worked together for reconciliation.